Have you found that no matter how many tests you've gone on, you've been told nothing is wrong with you?
Most people have already done the rounds. They've done several types of tests.
And you can feel within yourself something is not right.
Bioresonance testing is looking at how do we pick up and prevent potential diseases, whereas medical testing are looking for the problem after it's already presented itself.
I am so excited about our guest today. Dr. Wendy Christien, PhD, from Integrative Health Solutions, is here with us. She's an expert on holistic wellness, using innovative methods like BioEnergetic stress testing, Iridology, to help people uncover and address these hidden health issues. With 19 plus years of expertise, Dr. Christien has helped countless individuals find balance and reclaim their health. Hello viewers and listeners, it's Karin Kelly and I am so glad you're here with me today. It is a privilege to spend this time together, and I want to acknowledge you for choosing to tune in and invest in your growth and healing journey. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm Karin Kelly, a transformation coach and professional speaker. So let's begin. Welcome, Dr. Wendy Christien, to Conversations with Karin's podcast. It's great to have you here with us. I've actually been looking forward to actually seeing you and having you in this chair. In the wellness sector, specifically you, I find what you do interesting. I'd like to actually know, where did your interest and where did it stem from, the root of why you do what you do today? Where did it come from?
So I was one of those people that didn't really know what I wanted to do when I left school. And I fell about for the first part of my adult life thinking, oh, I'm really not fulfilled. I did what I did, but I just wasn't finding what I wanted to do. There was nothing that I was particularly passionate about. And one day I had some health issues of my own, and I came across a lady who was doing this type of therapy, and I went to see her, and with a few changes that nobody else could discover, she helped me to literally turn around some health issues that I was experiencing. And at the time, I didn't really think much about it. I was happy to just be a client, and a couple of years later, it was like a moment of revelation that came to me. What about this? This is something that I could see myself doing. And so I started. Started making inquiries. I went back to the same lady who'd helped me, and I said, how would I do this? I didn't even know where to start. And that is where the journey started for me. She told me how to go about doing it. I got into the training. I was able to work in the practice with her and another medical professional at the time to train adequately. And it started from there. And I haven't looked back. It has been the most amazing journey of my life. The most rewarding thing is when people can come to me after they have tried almost everything. They come to me in a space, most people have already done the rounds. They've done several types of tests. And they come to me feeling discouraged, they feel despondent, they feel like they're imagining things. And it's such a disempowering space for them to be in. So I think once they've been able to have a test and they're able to see it on paper, then they'll say, wow, there actually is something wrong. I knew it. I couldn't understand it. I couldn't find the answer.
Exactly.
But here it is. And so it's just for that person to be able to really think, okay, well, I have now found an answer. And to they feel hopeful. They feel re-empowered. They feel like they're able to pick up and carry on.
Now that's empowering.
Yes. It's amazing to see that. And I think that is the most rewarding thing with the work that I'm doing. So whether it be me or it be somebody else that can give them that insight, I think, people should really investigate. They should look until they find the answer for whatever it is that they're struggling with, because it's not imagined. It is a real issue.
That is so true. Because it was like a wow moment of, oh my word, if I can feel like this, what can I do for others?
Yeah.
and actually bring it over and send the message over to others. Now, this is where actually so I can never explain to clients is I'm curious about this BioEnergetic stress testing system. It sounds like such an innovative testing machine or whatever it is that you actually use. And can you explain the difference between the conventional medical tests and where are they similar? Can you explain to me?
They're very different. So conventional medical tests are reproducible and they're done in a laboratory, or it would be x-rays, or it would be MRIs, or there would be sonars. There would be various different mechanisms of testing. Bioresonance testing measures the frequencies in a person's body. So it's not looking at absolute specifics, but it is able to measure those subtle changes. So if you're able to see that there are changes in an organ or a system, you're then able to do something preventative to treat that problem. And that's the difference, is bioresonance testing is looking at how do we pick up and prevent potential diseases, whereas medical testing are looking for the problem after it's already presented itself. So you could use them both ways. You know, you can use a bioresonance device after a problem has been identified, but you could also use it before, and especially for those many people who know they're not well, but can't find the answers to what it is that they are struggling with.
Can you give 2 examples of like big things that I can actually pick up?
So I would say most of the people that are coming to me have a variety of symptoms, but they don't necessarily have the answers for what those symptoms are. And so if we're looking at things like gut issues, you can go for a colonoscopy, for example, and the colonoscopy can be clear, but you have a digestive issue. Then the system would be able to see, okay, well, perhaps you don't have enough stomach acid, or perhaps you don't have enough good bacteria in your gut, or you don't have enough digestive enzymes to digest your food. And there could be an imbalance between the good and the bad bacteria, or there could be bacteria that is healthy but in the wrong place in the gut. And so we're able to identify those kind of things, treat it, and then that person is able to get better. The other thing that comes in there is food intolerances, especially with the digestive tract. You're not going to pick up food intolerances on a colonoscopy, and you might go for a sort of a skin prick test or a blood test, and it's not always conclusive. It doesn't always come back that you necessarily have a specific intolerance. And so that would be one of the examples. And then I think another comes in with fatigue, which is there's so many things that could be contributing to fatigue. So you could have mitochondria that are not working effectively. You could have adrenals that are overstimulated or understimulated or under-responsive, and that over time people have sort of developed a type of burnout. There could be other cellular factors that are underlying viral infections that could be contributing to those. And the system would be able to identify those and treat, and we'd be able to treat from there.
I've been to Wendy once, and I mean, her wording isn't, you've got a bit of a gut issue, that maybe you need to take this and this and that. She actually will say to you, I pick up that you are holding onto something that you haven't resolved, or you bring in so much more. That's why I actually say you're a little bit different. And I find that fascinating because it made me sit back and think and go, oh yes. Okay, Karin, you need to delete, destroy, and create whatever you are carrying. I find that fascinating.
I think that's an important point, because we don't realize how much of the emotional stress that we carry influences our individual systems and organs.
How do you pick that up?
And so that again would be one of the methods of testing, that there are various different folders and files that I go through, and one of them would be flower remedies. And then there's another part of the test that I can scan a specific organ, and then that could give me an emotion that is associated with that particular organ or system. So if I'm seeing, for example, that you have low readings on your small intestine and I scan in small intestine, it'll either show me a physical issue or it'll show me an emotional issue.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes it's a combination of both. And so we're able to address both aspects of that, which is very interesting.
Also find you very, call it what you may, your sixth sense, your gut feel, your intuition. So you always build onto the conversation of, you don't say, oh, you might be suffering from whatever bit of depression or stress due to perhaps a family problem. I'm sure the machine doesn't say to you family problem. So those things come from you, and I find them fascinating because they're spot on. I want to talk about the common issues you see in your practice. You know, we had a conversation before, and I resonated with so much. You know, when I see clients in my practice coming, very similar things, and it's not always medical. And, well, mine isn't medical, put it that way. I send them to a medical person. So what are the frequent most imbalances and deficiencies you see in somebody coming into your practice?
So I think the most common ones that I'm dealing with would be digestive issues, whether it be heartburn and reflux or constipation or chronic diarrhea or bloating or, you know, food intolerances that they can't identify. So the digestive issues are one of the most important, one of the most frequent. I then get a lot of fatigue, and that can be, as I said, from various different sources. Mental health. So people coming with either ADHD or autism. I work quite closely with a psychologist who refers a few of her patients to me because she finds that it's helpful to identify which of the neurotransmitters are perhaps deficient. Because we think about serotonin as the mood neurotransmitter, but there's 4 others or 3 others that play a role. And so if we can identify, are there perhaps imbalances there, because it's not very easy to measure those in conventional testing. And we can see, are there deficiencies and how can we support this person a little bit more? So I would say those are probably the 3 most common ones. It would be the neurological or the mind, emotional issues, the fatigue, and the gut issues. I mean, there are many, but those I would say are the primary ones that I deal with.
Well, that's why I send some of my clients to you as well. I believe it goes hand in hand. And your supportive environment. One thing that stands out for me and always has stood out for me is, and I've heard, this isn't only for me, I've actually heard from people that they felt heard, they felt listened to, they feel supported, they feel safe when they actually come into your rooms.
I think when that person comes into my room, it's about the connection with them. And so if I can connect with them, and if I can understand where they're coming from, then that's going to make for a very good connection. That's going to create safety. It's going to create a space that is conducive to them, sharing openly with me and being able to get the best of the treatment option that they've come for. And so I think for me, it's about how do I remove myself and just listen to the person who's in front of me? Because if I come with a predisposed idea or a predisposed assumption of this person, then I'm not going to be able to help them. I have to be able to clear the slate somehow. And so I do a lot of work, obviously, on myself to try and help in that sort of area to be able to grow. I think I really just try to connect with that person and to understand them. I realize that many of them have come from a space where they haven't been heard, where they haven't been listened to, where they've been told they're imagining it, or they're made to feel that they're imagining whatever their symptom is. And I've been in that position myself, and that's not a nice space to be. So if I can create something a little bit different, then that is what my ultimate aim would be.
Mental health is an integral part of our being. And primarily, I work with the mind and the thought system of yourself, because I believe that we have the capability, if worked on and persevered on, to heal almost anything within us on the mental side. How do you balance that out? Or what advice do you give, or what do you impart with, together with whatever wellness advice you give them, be it vitamins or not vitamins, or vitamins or supplements, because you and I know that if your inner world and your outer world isn't aligned, it ain't going to work. You can push them with, name me a supplement quickly for stress.
Adrenal support.
Adrenal support. You can push adrenal support with them and whatever the things that you give them. And you can see a shift when they come back to you, but they haven't helped themselves. They haven't done what they needed to do. So how do you support that?
Well, I think that's where your multimodality approach comes in. So I'm not an island, I'm not a silo, and I can't work by myself.
Even though I think you are.
I think there's a fear that comes in, and very often we think, well, if I refer that person to somebody else, they're never going to come back to me. But I think that is quite narrow-minded. So if we can be supported, the best thing that we can do for our clients is to be able to offer a multimodal approach.
Yes, yeah.
So, if they are needing maybe body stress release therapy or a chiropractor or physiotherapy or coaching, or they need to go and see a medical professional, or they need to see a psychologist or psychiatrist, that is all part of a holistic treatment. And I think there's a place for everybody, and I think there's more than enough to go around. And if we alleviate that, or if we take that fear out of ourselves that we're going to be lacking if we refer out, we're going to do the best that we can for the client that's sitting in front of us. And so I think if we think that we are able to fix this person on their own, that's quite an egotistical approach, and I don't think that's one that's going to be helpful. So if we can embrace all of the other modalities and accept and understand their place in the whole process, then I think that's going to be the best approach for the person that's sitting in front of us.
I love your approach, and I believe when you do that, it comes right back. They will reap the reward over and over and over again. And now I'm speaking about your beginner. So this person comes along and they realize, well, they sit in front of me and I say to them, listen here, pal, you need to actually do something about your wellness. And this isn't only dietary that I'm actually speaking about. You actually need support. Yes, you get support from me, but you need, and your friends or your family, but you need another kind of support. And they can go read up on the internet and Google it and do whatever, and they get overwhelmed by all this information. Then the next step is they go to the shelf and they buy everything that they think is healthy, whatever, or what are people that they've seen on Google, and they waste a lot of money. And the comment is at the end of the day, I've tried that, it doesn't work. And I would ask, what techniques did you use to implement that? So it's almost like a cocaine brain. You're just going round and round, and our brains are linear. So what advice or ingredients can you part with for somebody that is just starting out and wants to go on the wellness and realizes they need to actually embark on this path? In actual fact, we all should be doing it, no matter what. It doesn't mean you can't have a chocolate or a packet of chips every so now and again. But what advice can you impart with some advice?
Well, I think this is where I really find the bioresonance devices helpful, because it helps to prioritize the areas that you need to actually start with. Because as you said, you can go to the shop, you can buy all the vitamins and minerals and things that you think are going to be helpful, But, you might not have a vitamin B deficiency, and here you're taking a vitamin B complex, and that's why it's not working for you. But maybe your problem is a little bit deeper. And so if we can identify exactly where that is coming from, what is the root of the problem, and start there. And I think it's also about working in layers. If we do the sort of all or nothing approach, we're not really it's not sustainable. We're not going to be able to do that for very long. But if you can understand your body and you can know exactly what's going on with you and your body, because we're not a generic, there's not a one size fits all. We don't all fit into a specific box. There's some very nice guidelines, but we don't fit into boxes. And if we can understand exactly what the root is of our specific cause, then we can, or symptom, we will then be able to actually target that a lot more specifically. And that's where the nutrition comes in. That's maybe eliminating foods or adding foods that you haven't been having. It might be taking some supplements or some enzymes or some specific nutritionals. And I think that's the difference as well between supplements and nutritional support, or what do we call them? The word has eluded me right now. Nutraceuticals. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay, that's a long word. Nutraceuticals.
Nutraceuticals. So a nutraceutical actually has nutritional value, and it has more of a therapeutic value than just an average vitamin or supplement. And so that's what we're wanting to actually target. If we can give the person the right set of nutraceuticals, then you're going to have a much better result. And then they'll start seeing results which will then motivate them to keep carrying on. So I would say that would be the start. Find somebody who can just identify what the areas are of priority. And if you focus on those areas of priority and you work in the various different layers, you're going to see a lot more improvement a lot more quickly.
If you are speaking to somebody that's still a student, a university student, and it's not within their budget to come to somebody like you, what are things that they need to look out for? Perhaps some of the things, and what could they actually do about it? I mean, I know this is general because this doesn't fit all, like you just said, but what could they do if they can't go, it's not within their budget to go to a doctor, to go to somebody like you? What can they look for within themselves, especially when they're studying, and perhaps look at taking or eating or road to start walking down?
Yeah. Well, I think for somebody who doesn't have the financial means, then you're going to look at lifestyle factors. So those are going to be the most important ones. So sleep is vital. If we think about students don't often get as much sleep as they should. They can look at what are they consuming, are they drinking, are they smoking, what sort of toxins are they putting into their bodies? If they could eliminate or reduce the amount of exposure that they have to those kind of toxins, that's already going to help them. They can eat the best food that they can afford. So try and avoid the junk and the processed foods. Obviously, on a student budget, you're probably living on those kind of processed foods because that's what's affordable. But if you can bring some vegetables in, or maybe a little bit of fruit, or something that will be nutritious, you can do it without spending lots of money on supplements and things like that. But I would say the basics are sleep well, move well, eat well. And if you can do that and eliminate well, make sure you go into the bathroom and that you're at least having a good bowel movement every day, because then that's going to help your body function a lot better until you're in a space and it's going to help you with your studies. It's going to keep your mind bright. It's going to keep, your body functioning well, reduce the inflammation.
And if they had to purchase something over the shelf, because there are supplements and there are supplements. So the brain, the focus, what would you suggest for them to actually take?
That's difficult because it could be different for every person. I would say either the best multivitamin that they could buy, that would be one of them. If they are struggling with more focused concentration and those kind of things, I would look at maybe something like lion's mane or
that's good.
A nutritional support that's going to actually give them focus in their brains.
And where can they get this lion's mane?
That should be available at any health shop, pharmacy. They should be able to find it anywhere.
In the tablet or tincture form?
Either. whatever they can afford and whatever is available. But yeah, either of those would be very helpful for focus for students. Obviously, they need to check that they don't have any intolerances, that they are able to, because lion's mane is a mushroom. But yeah, I would say that could be, mostly it's safe. There's very seldom a side effect, but if you do have any allergies, you want to watch that.
For those that are listening and those that have questions about themselves and have always wondered and have gone for tests and they know something's not right, I don't feel right, I think you've got your answer and you are walking away with knowledge. I also want to know, what are your parting words with us?
So I would say learn to know your body. Understand that if you have something wrong, that you need to search until you can find that. Remember that absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. And trust your body. Your body is trying to tell you something, and I think that's the most important thing. Find somebody who can help you identify what those areas are.
Thank you, Dr. Wendy Christien, for being here with us, and thank you for being on the podcast. Please forward this beautiful episode with Dr. Christien. Like, subscribe, and comment on, I'd love to hear your comments on your experiences. Stay empowered, stay true, be safe, be you.